Life. If you can hear the Dropkick Murphys, Captain Kelly's Kitchen. I don't know the rights to Dropkick Murphys, Captain Kelly's Kitchen. Listened to a lot of this album several years ago. Shane was one of Seamus's favorite Disney. Uh, I finally got to where I could listen to it and not just break out crying. Does make me a little misty, but then I kind of remember good things, you know. Seamus and I really bonded over. We were kind of different, I guess. It seems like there's a lot of traditional dad things you're supposed to do. But I'm not a traditional dad. Seamus and I we really bonded more over music and cooking and a lot of other things that may not be traditional. And that's kind of, there's nothing wrong with traditions, right? There's nothing wrong with certain role stereotypes, unless it keeps you from expanding to doing other things. You shouldn't make fun of other people's traditions. So I'm not a big fan of New Belgium, and I'm on record as saying so I'm not going to try to walk that back down. But I picked this up today, and I've never had it before. One, I was curious about it. It was about $13 for a six-pack of a 9% bourbon barrel ale. That really is rather reasonable. But I've had some issues with New Belgium ever since the first time I had Fat Tire, I don't know, 97, 98, somewhere in that neck of the woods. There was something about that yeast, I don't know. This left this aftertaste I wasn't crazy about. And when I've talked to people about it, I kind of get people either agree with me or they don't, right? Because some people taste that same thing or they don't. And, there are some New Belgium beers I thought were fine, and some that weren't. But I've never had one, to be honest with you, that kind of knocked my socks off. And that's kind of been my issue with the company. But I was curious about this one. New Belgium Oakspire Bourbon Barrel Ale, 9% of collaboration with Knob Creek. Can't read that there. There we go. I'm getting the red light to get my bifocals to work. Special release from two craft pioneers. Smooth notes of toffee, vanilla, and caramel is what they said to look for. A limited edition collaboration between New Belgium and Knob Creek. Knob Creek does make some fine bourbon, or fine whiskeys. They do more than just bourbon. Oakspire is a unique bourbon-inspired ale. It is a unique bourbon-inspired ale with oak spirals, so it's not barrel-aged. Let's be clear about that. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I've had some oak spiral beers that were every bit as good as something that was barrel-aged, so let's not get too snobby, folks. So I'm not gonna knock out points for that. Oak spirals and char from the barrel. Smooth notes of toffee, vanilla, and caramel wrap up a refined finish. Oakspire, where innovation meets tradition. So there you go. That's what it says about the beer. A 9%. Doesn't list IBUs on the bottle. I did look up on the website earlier, and I believe it was 20 if I remember correctly. So anyway, I'm going to put the bottle back up there so you can see it, because that's how I like to do things. Show you the beer. I'm using my mother's Foggy Notion glass, which Foggy Notion is a barley wine, which this isn't. However, the however is before beer styles were more tightly defined. If this beer came out, back in say 97, 98, it would have been called a barley wine, which really stood for anything that didn't really fit a specific style. That was a high ABV. It was a barley wine. So here you go. Let me show this to you. It's got a very nice. It almost looks exactly like a barley wine too, color-wise. It certainly has that barley wine SQ, doesn't it? I look like I'm getting some ruby notes in there. A nice light tan head that sits up there.
Nearly $60,000. That's how much Josh Hawley took for the insurance industry.
The nose is very nice. Again, let me look at their bottle again. They tell you to look for notes of excuse me. Toffee, vanilla, and caramel with a refined finish. Okay, well that's a little general, but okay, we're gonna work with that. See if we can expound on that a minute. I wasn't expecting this tune. If you can hear Whiskey in a Jar by the Doublers, I don't know. It's a Whiskey in a Jar by the Doublers. I didn't realize I put this particular song in this particular mix. I know I have it in other mixes, but I didn't realize I had it in this one. Oh, excuse me, my nose keeps itching. I keep trying to get it stopped, but it won't. Anyway. There's whiskey in a jar. Anyway, cheers, y'all. So yeah, toffee, vanilla, oak, as they say here. Toffee, vanilla, and caramel. Yeah, toffee. I don't know, toffee and caramel. I don't know. I'm just going to say toffee. Now, here's what I got in here. This glass, there's a little bit in this bottle here, and I think I could squeeze it all in there if I want. So basically, if you were to get this glass out and pour it into my head, you're getting about a 10-ounce pour. So toffee, vanilla, oak on the nose. And just some slight nutty notes. Oh gosh! Wow! I'm gonna get all the way through this before I inform a complete opinion. But wow, I'm kind of impressed with that first sip, I must say. Again, early on, I certainly felt very like a vanilla cream. And now I kind of see what they're saying. Caramel. I don't really feel caramel and toffee. It's usually either or. But you start with that creamy toffee or the creamy vanilla toffee that works itself into more of a richer toffee. But I also feel like I'm getting some roasted hazelnut notes. In many beers, I've been feeling toasted hazelnut. Here, I'm going to go a different direction and say roasted hazelnut. It's slightly different, but close. Ah, gosh, I wish my nose would quit itching. Wow, I got to tell you, this might be my favorite New Belgium beer of all time. You know what? For $13 a six-pack isn't necessarily cheap, but it is 19%, y'all. 19%. That's 9% is what I meant to say. It's 13 a six-pack, 9% for a six-pack. That's really reasonable. 13 for a 9% barrel-aged, well, oak-aged beer. That's freaking brilliant. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, it certainly has. If somebody was to just hand this to me and not give me a style, I would go to barley wine. But yeah, it's got that nice creaminess, right? It's like a very milk caramel, very light caramel. And then near the end is where you feel that more decadent, darker toffee. It is very interesting. And then you feel those roasted hazelnut notes right in the finish, and again with the hints of oak and hints of oak spice. Stay awake all night. If you can hear croaking, stay awake all night. Of course, I don't know the price to croaking, stay awake all night. Oh, I got it. Wow. I debated about this because I've had issues with New Belgium beers in the past. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I'm saying they just don't work for me. And I think that's a problem that I feel like a lot of so-called beer reviewers do is they call a beer bad just because it doesn't fit within their own taste parameters. Just because you doesn't like a, just because you doesn't. Boy, that was great English stuff. Just because you don't like a beer doesn't mean it's a bad beer. Is it flawed? I gotta tell you, man, this may be my favorite New Belgium beer. But yes, I was looking. I'm not gonna tell you what I was almost going to buy because I only had so much money, right? So I could. Both of them were. This one was 13 a six pack. The other one was 17 a six pack for a barrel aged stout. I was going in one direction or the other. I couldn't do both. And then in the end, I decided to go with this one because I was curious and I wanted to see if I can. Well, I wanted to, I've got some preconceived notions about New Belgium, and I really wanted to break them. And this one, I got to tell you, breaks them. This beer's brilliant. I got to tell you. Now, there ain't nothing wrong with this. In fact, I took that first sip thinking, okay, that's impressive. But let me get through the rest of it. I'm going to try to get through the rest of this beer just to see if there are any changes. But there's always been that little aftertaste that I get in certain New Belgium beers that just kind of turned me off. It's good at first, but then it kind of lingers on me. I'm not getting that from this. And again, that could be just me, how I'm interpreting that beer. The finish is nice and clean. There is a lot of sweetness early on and in the middle, and it cleans up at the end. Now, they mentioned vanilla toffee, caramel, but I'm going to expound on that a little bit. I'm going to tell you that I feel like you get some very dark brown sugar-like notes in there as well. I say a dark brown sugar because you really feel that molasses influence in here. But then it just, helped by the oak. A lot of sweet beers are really helped with their barrel age because that oak will help dry it up. And that's what it does here. And I've noticed the longer I've let this sit, and I didn't have this very cold, to be honest with you. I just picked it up a few hours ago, and it was it wasn't refrigerated. I took it home, put it in the fridge, so it really wasn't that super cold. Because you don't want a beer like this real cold. This beer is probably optimal at about 55 to 60. Hey, if you feel adventurous, start it at about 45 and let it warm up. But yeah, you don't want a beer like this very cold. Because the more it's warmed in my glass, the more that nose is just freaking exploded, man. And so is the flavors, to be honest with you. The yolk seemed muted at first, but now the yolk is there in a great big way. And again, like I said, in the finish, you really feel that oak. But I also feel like I'm getting a hint of spice coming from that oak as well. It's gorgeous. I got to tell you, New Belgium, wow. You made a believer out of me with this one. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Yeah, this one's damn fine. It is my favorite New Belgium beer of all time. And part of that maybe because I do have a chilly, rather dreary day in the Ozarks. And when the weather gets like this, this is the beer I want to drink. This is the type of beer I want to drink. Wow. Because I was thinking, I was going to the other one. Like I said, the other one I was looking at was a barrel-aged stout. Because I was thinking it's stout weather. And I saw this, what? That could work too. If you can hear Nazareth, hear the dog. I don't know the rights Nazareth, hear the dog. But it's a damn fine tune, is it not? Now you're messing with her. Now you're messing with her, son of a bitch. I remember getting in trouble. Being about 14 years old singing the song in my bedroom, cranking my stereo. My mom comes in, what the hell? It's not like my house was cussing free. My dad did plenty, but we weren't supposed to. It was kind of a do as I do, not as I do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. But anyway, now you're messing with it. It's the song, Mom. I'm just singing the song. How was I calling anybody a son of a bitch? It didn't matter though. You weren't supposed to say it. I will tell you the truth though. Other than singing the song, I was 21 years old before I ever cussed in front of my parents. And cussing was rather rampant in my house. And even then, it wasn't at them. It was I was describing something, and I used the word shit. But no, I never cussed at my parents at all, ever, to this day. When I hear about kids calling their parents' names and using certain words, oh my God. I would have lived to about 14 years old if I... My dad would have taken me out. And anybody that watches this that knew my dad would say, yeah, he would have. If you actually called your dad a son of a bitch, we would miss you dearly and think of you often. Anyway, hey, I mean, I'll be honest with you, this beer is impressive. Even as I get near the end of my glass, like I said, as the longer I go, the longer I let this form, the more I feel that oak. I worked for a brewery, Saddlebach, for a couple of years, and they did a beer called Winter Days, which was a porter that they used, Maker's Mark Soaked Spirals. And that beer was every bit as good as any barrel-aged beer I have ever had. So I don't really hold it against a brewery for using spirals, because I understand why they do it. For a brewery like Saddlebach, a lot of it was, economics. They wouldn't have the space for a lot of barrels, and have the money to buy the barrels. So you bourbon soak the spiral. Why New Belgium does it, I don't know, other than the fact that you can get to your product quicker by using the spirals rather than barrel aging, because you've got more surface. So I guess the point I was trying to make was I've known folks that will hold it against a brewery for using, chunks, spirals, chips, whatever. I do not. Whatever you got to do to get that flavor, get that flavor. This is every bit as good as any barrel-aged ale I've ever had. I got to say, New Belgium, wow, I tip my hat to you. This beer is damn impressive. Now, we got some Greg Kent coming on. One of my favorite Ken tunes. So now, what radio station would go from Nazareth to Greg Kent? Now, a lot of people would say, well, why would you want to, Tom? But I do. My music tastes are that eclectic, and I love that I can do this on my Spotify, or as I like to say, Beer Whisper Radio. So there you go. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, Beer Wisdom Man. I'm usually done with the video in about 10 to 15 minutes on the top end. This is a 9% beer, so I am taking my time, and I apologize for the long video, but this beer really is fantastic. It has my highest recommendation. This beer is pretty freaking tasty. One more time I'm feeling. I am Todd the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, Beer Wisdom Man, all around good guy. Remember, folks, life is serious. Beer shouldn't be. I like to refer to the Warren Zevon album as he was dying from cancer. Enjoy every sandwich. Enjoy every beer, man. Make every moment last. My wife and I lost our son to cancer 5.5 years ago now. And I still remember that day vividly, and it's painful every second. You can't dwell on everybody has bad things happen to them. If you choose to dwell on them, that is you. If you choose not to enjoy life, that is on you and not on somebody else. You have got to find a way to get out there and embrace every situation. Enjoy every beer. I am the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, beer drinker, Beer Wisdom, all right, good guy. Have a good one.